mind if I have a sip of coffee while we're talking.
Yeah, no. This is real. This is real stuff. We are live. We are drinking. We are eating.
And we're overdressed.
We're live now. I am very excited. I'm Lauren E. Miller, managing partner of Grab and Go Stress Solutions, and very excited to have my colleague and friend Mike Mooney with me today. So this is kind of a spontaneous little webinar that I'm putting together today, and I'm going to blast out because I was so personally moved by our conversation yesterday, Mike, that I really felt that the information that we were talking about is so pertinent and could be so helpful to so many people out there in the business world, as well as those who are plagued with not enoughness, not enough accolades, not enough approval, not enough stuff. I mean, you name it. There's tons of it going on out there. And so just to give the listeners and the viewers just a little brief background, many of you will remember ACT. It was an incredible system that was put forth. And Mike actually, that was his vision, AACT, and that was his vision. And he had 25 experience in the market to help create the business back then. And they launched ACT on April 1st, 1987. With it, they produced a best-selling product that digitized the daytimer error. So this is really going back. Now flipping forward, he's now author, speaker, and CEO of VIP Orbit, which is an incredible connection vision that he's made a reality. And so for more information on Mike, you can visit his main website at Mike Mooney, and I'll have that information that as I will paste this and send this out. But Mike Mooney, MUHNEY.com, as well as VIPOrbit.com. So without further ado, I'm sitting here with my good friend and colleague, Mike, and he's got his green jacket on today. Because I asked you to wear your green jacket.
Yes, I don't sit around my home office wearing a corduroy sport coat just for the fun of it.
So years ago at an event of another colleague friend of mine that was going on, the Secret Knock, I ran our paths crossed at this event that we were both at. And of course, Mike stood out with the green jacket. And this is kind of, I said, this is incredible branding. You're probably not even thinking about it. And you have this incredible branding going on of the green jacket. So, you know, it's interesting, Mike, because you've had so much success in your life. You are blessed with as a visionary, as well as the ability to execute and manifest. There are many visionaries without the ability to also execute and manifest. So with that, we were in a conversation yesterday about a recent talk that you had given that really caught my attention, and basically the failure to succeed. And there's a little word before that that makes a big difference in that title, failure to succeed. And in your talk, you have in parentheses before that, accept failure to succeed. So I just want to open this up. We have about 20 minutes here, and I'd like you to share some grab and go tips from that talk, kind of like what we were sharing about yesterday. And you were sharing some very vulnerable stuff that I really feel, in terms of aligning ourselves with what we value most in our pursuit of success, is so essential right now. And it's a message that I really feel people are hungry and thirsty for. So what do you have to say, my friend?
Well, first of all, thank you for the time, Lauren, and the kind comments. And it is a delight to know you. I'm going to correct something you said, though, and that is, you know, I've had a lot of successes in my life. Yes, I've had successes. I haven't kept, count of them, but I instinctively and intuitively know I've had a heck of a lot more failures in life than I've had success. And so, you know, that's a different counterbalance, if you will, because we all seem to focus on the success, and not as much, in my opinion, is necessarily learned from being successful as is learned from failing. And in order to succeed, I've come to the conclusion, looking at my own life, that you can't separate the two. You have to almost expect failure in the pursuit of success. But before success even happens, and speaking as an entrepreneur here, I think it's really first and foremost about just surviving. And if you put it in that context, then surviving with success as the ultimate result, really, if you do survive, right? In just surviving, the risks are greater, and therefore the risk for failure is also increased. And so you can't ignore it. You can't pretend it's not there. You have to be willing to face it and know that it might actually be that outcome. The other thing that we talked about, just to kind of kick it off here, I'm going to let you direct me where you want me to go, but the thing that I know really kind of sparked the prompts to have this engagement right now is I made a comment about the fact that we as people have a tendency to look at what I call the gross success of people rather than the net success of people. And what I mean by that is, let's take somebody, it could be an athlete, could be a businessman. Let's take Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook, for example, right? Very unusual. Some people in the world do get lucky enough to either be born with a silver spoon or win the $1 billion lottery. That's not most of us, right? But regardless of people that made it big, and of course we all dream of that, we still don't have a tendency to look at what was the price that they paid to get to that level of success, because there must have been failure. There must have been some sense of tragedy. There's something that affected them that, despite that, still enabled them to be determined to pursue and persist, right? So, and I'll be very open and honest here, in being successful with ACT, and to this day I get people that come up and say, "You're the guy that co-invented ACT?" Yeah, I am. I'm a regular guy, trained as a sales guy at IBM long ago in the mainframe era. My other business partner and co-inventor was also a sales guy. So we were just two sales guys. What do salespeople know, right? But we had a vision, and it worked, and it really went way beyond our imagination. And success is a much bigger stress factor than is failure, because with failure, there's all upside. With success, there's a lot of downside.
I'm so glad you said that, because that was from the talk yesterday. My lights went on. I'm like,
yeah.
Oh my gosh, you are speaking the truth.
Because, to become successful, which means you've succeeded in surviving, but to become successful, now you've got the responsibility to stay successful, and people start coming after you. You've got a target on your chest because everybody wants to be number one, right? So success creates competition. If there wasn't any per se, if you're successful, other people are going to find a way to also encroach on your territory. Let's look at Uber. And when Uber proved the success of anybody being able to be a taxi driver effectively, Lyft came along. And now you've got two big companies, right? So success creates competition, which is more stress, right? And therefore you go back to a sense of, we still might fail because we have, more important competition coming at us. I mean, for those of us that are a little bit older, remember MySpace? MySpace was basically the precursor to Facebook. What happened to MySpace? Why didn't they stay where they were? How did Facebook overcome them? So success is a very temporary, tenuous thing. And so that's why failure is a part of that entire effort to get there and the effort to stay there. Right? But getting back to the comment about gross success versus net success pertinent to an individual. So take me. This is where I'll be vulnerable and open-hearted. 3 years before we sold ACT, after building it up globally and creating a category that didn't exist, that is acknowledged as the catalyst that started the CRM industry, right? I went through a divorce, and I went through a divorce because I lost touch with my family. I lost balance because ACT was so successful, Lauren. The demands on my time to go speak here and there all over the world and open up more distribution channels and go to big corporate events and be a keynote conference speaker at big events in the high-tech industry around the world. I'm talking the same stage as Microsoft top executives, for example. And other big companies, Larry Ellison of Oracle. I mean, big names. I was on that stage because of ACT. So the demand and the pressure and the spotlight on me didn't make me, I just simply lost touch with and balance with my family, right? And in that, I lost a 19-year marriage. How sad is that? So when I say to people, you're judging me, you're looking at me as a successful guy, that sold their company and all that kind of stuff. Yes, I am. But I net it out personally. I say, put a price on the cost of a lost marriage. You can't. There is no cost. It's priceless, right? Whatever it is to me is what it is, but you can't put a cost on it. So that's the price I paid to be successful. And then I get people saying, well, was it worth it? Would you do it again? The answer is, I would absolutely do ACT again if that were the case. But what I know now that I didn't then is to leave work at work, and when at home, be at home, be engaged, be involved. Try to have that same effort toward making this be a successful marriage, right? As you were a successful company with your energies over here. So when I look at successful people, Mark Cuban, Mark Zuckerberg, big name people that we all kind of heard their names of, I kind of discount all the wonderful, don't you wish you could be like me, and I've made so much money and I'm so powerful, and people want to come after me all the time, and I give them nuggets off of the tabletop. I don't like that kind of a person, because what I really want to know is, but what did you pay to get there? Let's be honest with me, and you're not being honest with me, and we don't care about people being honest with us on that part of the story, and that part of the story is what inspires me, and that I know in sharing this with other people such as you and your audience, what has inspired other people, because we normal people can relate to that. And I'm just a normal person. Yeah. I can relate to normal people who are in pursuit of success, like we all are, presumably, but who have a lot of obstacles and problems in that journey. So that's kind of I know I rambled on a little bit, and you've been gracious. Sorry.
That's really powerful. That's the piece that really intrigued me yesterday, Mike, is because a lot of people, and I think we were talking about this as well, how there are so many people out there, and I've written articles on this called the fame game. Do you play it? Do you give more of your time, energy, talent, treasure to the pursuit of the shiny objects than you do to those things that you value most? I refer to it as the things that you get to take with you beyond the pine box. We were talking about that yesterday.
Right. I totally agree. And, I also shared with you, I heard Roger Staubach talk a few months ago at a networking event I go to regularly here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And it's obviously great to be around people like that and have them tell the stories of the Super Bowl and, whatever. But I don't walk away really with much that I can apply to my life, because I'm not ever going to be, nor I'm too late anyway, too old, to have been an athletic star like that. Right? I didn't start a Fortune 500 company and I'm the CEO or ex-CEO of IBM. That's not my lot in life, right? So when I hear stories from normal people, let's call us the schmucks of the world, and I'm a schmuck, I'm one of them, okay? A street fighter, whatever you want to call it. What they went through, I can relate to them, and it's more meaningful to me, and that is simply an expression of the kind of person I am, the kind of person I like to be around, and the kind of people that I learn from, because we're more authentic and real. We don't have that air of super achievement like the Mark Zuckerbergs of the world, right?
Do you think, Mike, that, because when I think about this, and I was thinking about this yesterday when we were talking, when a human being gives power to anything outside of itself, whether it be position, popularity, it dilutes the true identity of the person. Do you think that, what could we do, or what would you advise from your own experience moving forward? What could you do to help prevent losing that which you value most for the sake of the shiny object or the accomplishment of the goal, and yet you're standing alone? What could you do in that process as you're achieving your goals? What are some real boots on the ground things that people that are very ambitious? I'm one of those recovering fame pursuing human beings and very ambitious. So learning how to be me more relaxed, so that I make sure that I'm aligning myself with what I value most on a daily basis, and putting the large focus of what I value most and aligning that with my time and attention throughout my day. What have you learned?
Well, first of all, let me compliment you. I think in part the answer to your question is that you just gave it. And that is that you are cognizant of staying grounded, right?
Right.
And I think, so in my case, and I'll go back to the ACT era again, it was an unexpected, unprepared, overwhelming, magical journey of something that you couldn't have imagined would occur in your life, because you grew up, I'm speaking to myself, obviously, this, blue collar, normal kid in tough areas of Chicago. Okay.
Right.
And so to get to achieve something, and the world's response and the world's attention is partly what obviously led to my losing touch with my family.
Sure.
But you begin to equip yourself with this, I don't know, this, let's just call it ultimate arrogance. That's where it ends up.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't care that he owns the Dallas Mavericks. Mark Cuban is one of the most arrogant people that I've ever been around in the world. Okay. So, okay, everybody's who is Mike Buhney? Nobody compared to Mark Cuban, but that's the way the world looks. But you know what? I want to be true to myself. I have to stay grounded. I have to understand that in my dark moments, in my private moments, no matter what air I put onto you, right, that I'm going to have frustration and desperation and, lack of confidence and worry and doubt and fears. Those are all wrapped up in me, and I've got to deal with them too. And that shows me that I'm not this perfect, everybody ought to be like me individual. And when you look at how do I stay grounded, how do I view myself as I need to view myself so that other people see the real, authentic me. And that's the message that comes across. I will tell you, Lauren, and I'll just make this comment. It's up to people like you and your audience's judgment of me, listening to me and seeing me. But a lot of times people will come up to me after I speak and say, the one thing that really affected me about your speech was you were so down to earth, or you were so authentic. You were so real. I mean, they're all kind of the same thing, but all they're saying is, in my opinion, I can relate to you because I try to be that way too. I'm not going to be this great, industry titan, but I do want to do very well. I want to do better and improve in my life and my business and, everything. And you did, and you struggled with things, yet you made it through, but you stayed true to yourself. And so that's my, initial answer to the question. But it's not letting your own personality get ahead of you, your own success get ahead of you, and let success define who you are. I like to say about ACT, there's another quote that I use, or I don't know, I didn't make this up, I don't know who said it though, but it's such a great little saying: success ought to be a springboard and not a hammock. And a lot of people who are successful rest on the laurels and continue to fight for the glory and the attention, because the loss of that kind of would bring them back to earth. That, the air is going out of the balloon. I'm coming back to earth, and I once was sky high, and I don't want to come back to earth. Well, you know what? Living on earth, living on the ground is reality, right?
Yeah.
None of us were born with wings.
No
and so,
kidding.
yes,
As I often say, we're still wearing the earth suit. So occupy.
that's right. That's right. So our feet have to stay on the ground is the bottom line.
Yeah. It's interesting, and I shared with you this on our phone conversation as well. I have been praying for years after going through my earth school class of following the shiny objects and really coming back, going through the experience of advanced cancer and divorce at the same time was very eye-opening to different parts of my personality, as well as realigning myself with what I value most. But I started praying this prayer, and I still pray it to this day, because it takes a lot of courage, though. I remember when I prayed it thinking, do I need a tail ender on that one? But basically I say, and I said for years, dear God, I give you permission to withhold territory from me until I have developed the character to handle it successfully. And as I define successfully, in a way that brings glory and honor to God, and also in a way that I'm able to occupy the highest version of who I'm created to be. Meaning I'm not going to farm out my sense of identity to anything or position, or be easily swayed by any agenda or any proposed opportunity if it does not align with the highest version of who I am and the mission I know for which my heart beats. Along with that, I'll do the tail end prayer that says, dear God, protect me from compliments and complaints so that I can stay grounded in the mission for which my heart beats.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
because it's so easy to rise and fall when we get that accolade, we achieve that goal, we get that promotion. And it's so easy to just, like you say, drop in the hammock of success and allow that to define who we are, rather than with gratitude, acknowledging the accomplishment. Yay, what's next? What's next? What am I here to do next to make a difference in this world? I feel that this is such a powerful message. Are there any closing thoughts? Because I want to keep this short as much as possible so people will be more inclined to listen to the whole interview.
Yeah, I often ask people when I start giving a open speech, define success for me. And of course, you get a myriad of answers, right? So what is it? Well, it is open to personal interpretation. I obviously admit that. But what I ultimately end up saying is success is really becoming a person of value. Okay. I mean, I don't want my life to be.
I'm going to write that down.
Okay.
That's good.
I don't want my life to be defined by ACT. I mean, so when we sold ACT to Symantec in Silicon Valley, what then, right? I mean, is ACT me or am I ACT? Which is it? So all it proved to me, Lauren, was that ACT was a part of the journey of my life, of what I was put on this earth to achieve. Right. And I'm not there yet. And that was a big awakening for me, that I had to, yes, I'm proud of ACT and what it's done, et cetera, et cetera. But to me, all it said was, if you did that, what more is in you that God wants you to achieve, that you're capable of achieving, that you haven't gotten to yet? Right. And so it was a moment to stop and smell the roses of the ACT part of my life. But now I'm still on the journey, right? And that's what I'm trying to say. I don't want to stay there and have this growing, sadly, if it were to be the case, sense of a cocoon that without ACT, I'm nothing, right?
Who am I? Who would I be without this? If there's any anxiety that results in that question, who am I without this? Then there's an attachment, right? The attachment is that emotional state of clinging due to the belief that without something that we cannot feel successful enough that we've made it. And so it causes such undue anxiety.
So I'll finish with this. And you and I talked about it the other day. I was a quote from a poet.
Yep, that's
John Greenleaf Whittier, and I'm not a poetic kind of guy, but the saying really has affected me immensely through various aspects of my life, both business as an entrepreneur and just personal relationships. 1800 era poet, and here's the saying: of all sad words of tongue or pen, the saddest are these, what might have been. And I apply that to myself, both to encourage me, to inspire me, to say, hey, don't fall in that black hole of feeling sorry for yourself. Get up and fight, okay? Every day isn't sunshine, right? But I don't want to come to the end of my life, Lauren, in the pursuit of hopefully achieving everything I was meant to do on this earth and accomplish. I don't want to come to the end of it and say, I was afraid to do this, or I shouldn't have done that, or that would be what might have been. And I'm trying to minimize. You can't eliminate them all. That's not life. It's not real. But I'm trying to minimize throughout my life the accumulation of those things that might have been had I done something different, right? Whether it was an attitude, a gesture, a word, whatever, or that I didn't do that I should have done, right? And that kind of, again, equips me with how do you proceed right now in this moment with what you're faced with?
Wow.
So,
what could you do to move in a positive direction that aligns with the person you're committed to being? It's very, very powerful information, Mike. I'm so grateful for your spontaneity in terms of jumping on the call with me today. I just really was internally moved to want to get something out there to encourage those people that are really in that gray zone of who am I? Why am I here? What will it matter? And then staying in that space of expanding the gap between those titles, those accomplishments, and remembering I'm not my accomplishments. I remember when I lost my hair and my breasts going through advanced cancer and the marriage, I thought it was my hair, breasts, and my relationships and everything until they were gone. And then remembering the person you are and bringing that into the relationships you're blessed with and not forgetting.
Right.
The highest version of who we are in this world. I mean, I really love that. Success is becoming a person of value. Becoming a person of value, also the essential pieces of remembering what you are and what you're not. And
Right.
so this has been an incredible, incredible time, packed full of some great grab-and-go reminders to be able to align ourselves from the inside out, true authentic leadership, right? Not allowing ourselves to rise and fall depending on how the world judges us at that time. So, Mike, thank you again. For more information on Mike, you can visit his main website at mikemooney.com. That's MUHNEY.com, or VIPorbit.com, which is his current incredible connectivity project out in the world today. So, Mike, thank you so much. Very, very grateful, my friend. And I'm going to stop the recording here. Very, very grateful to have your time today. Thanks,
You're very
Mike.
welcome, Lauren.
Thank you.